Hello, good afternoon. Welcome to Commuters Live here on Sheffield Live 93.2 FM. And we have two very special guests here today. We have Sparky Tehnsuko and Sedge David. Good afternoon.
Good
Hi.
afternoon. Hello.
So, for our listeners at home, give us a bit of background. Tell us a little bit about yourselves.
So we are part of Cowboy Funfair Productions, and we have recently made a short film called Villain, which is doing fairly well on the festival circuit at the moment. I am the writer-director.
And I'm the producer.
So, for our listeners at home, who's inspired you to become part of the film industry? What were your inspirations?
For myself, just generally watching a lot of films. Like I grew up with a entire cabinet of VHS that my parents and myself would just like take as much films off the TV as possible, and we go to the cinema all the time. It was just such a thing that I did a lot while I was growing up, and then some point of in my teens I just kind of realized, hey, this is something I can actually do myself. It's not just for Hollywood. So yeah, it basically just gave me some inspiration to take all the films that I'd watched and try and apply that into stuff that I could do myself. Pick up a camera, put some people in front of it, write some words, and make some films.
Yeah. I think for me it was quite similar, to be honest. Like, just get exposed to a lot of it when you're younger. And then I studied film when I went to college and then again at uni. So it's always kind of been quite a passion of mine. And I was just lucky enough to have someone pay me for it at some point.
Yeah.
I've got to ask you, we've spoken about inspiration, but if there was anybody that you could work with in the film industry, either actor or director, who would it be and why?
Yeah, that's one that we have to think about, I think. But to be honest, the one thing that I always think of, because for these kind of questions, you might often get people asked, dead or alive.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking.
Yeah. And the one person that comes to mind with me, which is a shame because it will never happen because he has died, is Bob Hoskins. I actually just genuinely grew up watching things like Who Framed Roger Rabbit and that, but also then as an adult watching like The Long Good Friday and many of the other kind of films that he made, and just realizing that there was this like incredible talent that lived like here in England. And again, it was just something
prolific, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, that's I think that's my answer for the time being. But there's many people out there now that I'd love to work with, and many. Yeah, like I don't know what we do together, but I'd love to be involved with David Lynch in any ways. Here, mine.
I think for me it would be again, sadly he has passed away, but Stanley Kubrick was a big influence on me growing up, and just the aesthetic of his films. And they're pretty weird. I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
So you made a short film called Villain. So the creative process. Was it quite long, or did it take? Was it quite quick? Did it come together quite quickly? Actually,
that's very long actually.
Yeah.
So initially, I wrote the script. While I was working in my other job in the film industry, which is just doing a sort of film set IT. While I was doing that, I would spend all of my evenings and weekends still writing, but just kind of putting them on the shelf and thinking, I'll get to make that one day. And then the whole world shut down. And it was in 2020 that I basically, we both just kind of came to the decision that this was a good opportunity because we now had time to develop a short film. And we looked through the scripts that I'd written, and we decided on Villain largely because it was the most ambitious one. It was a very personal story to me, so I was keen to make it. And we just kind of wanted to do the one where it involved the most things that we hadn't actually ever done before. So this had like VFX, it had prosthetics, it had like special effects, fire, flamethrowers, things like that. And so we just wanted to know and to experience how to do all of that and to do it well. So Sedge thankfully had some contacts. that helped with that.
Yeah, we were quite lucky, I think, timing wise, just because everyone was out of work, so people were quite keen to jump on and help out and show us how to do things. It was definitely a steep learning curve, but
we took everything in our stride and just kind of ended up with this incredible team of people that we usually would not have been able to work with. They wouldn't have been available or affordable, but the pandemic made them both. And then it took a long time, specifically just for the VFX, because one of the conditions of getting the VFX, as cheap as we managed to get it, to be as good as it was that we just kind of said, there's no rush. You can prioritize other clients that pay you properly and things like that. So it took a couple of years, but then we managed to get our VFX finished and added into the film. And here we are in 2023 with our film finally being seen by some people.
Yeah.
I've got to ask this. I mean, the coronavirus pandemic was a weird time for everybody. But I've got to ask this. I mean, do you feel like the movie industry has changed because of the pandemic?
I think it certainly has, actually. Like, they kind of introduced an entire department devoted to monitoring COVID on sets and in production and stuff like that. So I think
there's a lot of like small changes and also big changes. Like I mentioned about how my kind of day-to-day work is with IT on film sets, and because of COVID, kind of overnight there was suddenly this need to not have everyone crammed into a tent watching a single monitor, like shoulder to shoulder. So iPads became a bigger thing, where everyone gets, like, if a film or show has got the budget, then they have iPads given to the people that need to watch for continuity and things like that. So yeah, things like that.
I think between, because the industry kind of resumed after lockdown 1.
Yeah, but with lots of restrictions.
Yeah, it was difficult, say the least. But I think everyone that's quite kind of the nice thing about film, is that everyone adapts quite quickly. They might grumble about it, but they adapt quite quickly, and I think that's part of the resilience of the industry.
Yeah.
I've got to. So we'll talk about the film Villain now. I mean, we aren't giving too much away. Can you tell us a little bit about the plot?
Sure. So the logline effectively is that it is a short fantasy movie about some rural prehistoric girl in England who has her home and family destroyed by a dragon, and then goes on an unwise revenge expedition to try and kill it. And when she gets to its lair, she finds something or someone in that cave that makes her question her intentions. And I think that's enough without giving too much away.
Interesting. So, I mean, how can people get to see this short film? I mean, it's in the festival at the moment, but will it eventually be on streaming platforms, direct to DVD?
It will actually be on streaming. So we will have it on a streaming platform by the end of this year. It is still it is still exclusive to festivals for the time being. We've got a lot of particularly genre, like horror, sci-fi, fantasy, everything, festivals coming up throughout October and November. But then we have everything calms down a little bit in time for the end of the year, and I think that will be a good opportunity for us to then put it online so people can watch it from their homes.
And from our followers, I mean, who want to break into this kind of industry, what advice will you give? And also, how difficult is it to break into it?
I mean, it is difficult to break into the industry, but it does also depend on what role you're looking to do. For my own thing as a writer director, the main advice I usually give to people is the same as every other director says: is just make films, even if it's just on your iPhones and stuff. Be prepared to make bad films that do nothing, because all of it is practice and all of it is worthwhile. But also, as you continue, try not to do everything yourself. If you are the writer, director, producer, cinematographer, editor, VFX supervisor, everything all at once, then you're spreading yourself very thinly and not doing any of those jobs exceptionally. So try and just be like the director of your vision and get other people who are very specifically good at those jobs to do those things. That's what I would usually say.
I think that's good advice, yeah, generally.
And to get into the industry, the general thing I'd say is that there are agencies that do assist with that. We both, in our earlier days, had experience with an agency called Call Time, CALL Time, which allowed us to get kind of entry-level positions. And
Just about working
that's
your
growing.
way up, yeah.
And for my listeners at home, I mean, do you have like social media sites where people can follow you on, like Instagram, Facebook?
Yeah, we've got I think we've got a Facebook that isn't maintained very much, but we've mainly got Instagram, which is Villain the Film. We have a small presence on like Twitter and Threads and TikTok and other things. But yeah, everywhere we are at Villain the Film.
And my final question for you is, for our audience, have you got anything you would like to say?
No, I think we just want to thank everyone who was involved in the making of the film, because it turned out more amazing than I think either of us thought it could.
Yeah, we've got Bella Ramsey starring in the lead role of this film, and they're an incredible actor. We've also got a young actress named Isla Guy, who did just such a wonderful job, and everyone else involved behind the camera and in post-production and everything. And also want to give a shout out to Joe Quayle, the composer, who's done an incredible score for us, which I think is also potentially going to be recorded and released as an EP in the coming weeks or months.
Sparky, Sedge, it's been a pleasure. Thank you very much for your time.
Nice. Thank you.